two nerds that know. We are nerdy and we know a lot of shit. So we're going to be talking about it. Tonight with us, we have the King Goon,
Hello.
Tank of Nox Nostalgia Collectibles. You can see him this weekend at something that's happening at a place in the Springs. He'll tell you about it. Dude, all I know is it's a store in the Springs and you're doing shit.
Oh, that was last weekend.
Oh, well, fine.
Yeah, I got very short notice on that. Yes, we were at KD Toys and Customs last weekend, with a little small toy show going on. It was quite successful. So
Okay, well then there you go. It's
this
something
weekend,
that's interesting.
this weekend we will be somewhere. Actually, we'll be at Colorado Springs Comic Con.
Yes, we will be at Color Springs Comic Con this weekend, and then next weekend we will be at NDK, which I keep having to specify it's a D instead of a T because, acronyms, which is the anime convention that happens here every year. Also with us tonight is me, Duchess, and as soon as he's done cleaning up his spilled cocktail, my lovely husband, Galdagoon.
I'm so sad about it. I didn't even make myself. I don't even deserve another one.
No, you do not.
That literally happened right as we were getting ready to push the button.
She pushed the button and it's kathunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am so I wasn't even intending to be dumb
Annoying.
in that particular frame.
It's all
We
right.
rearranged our living room, and so now the table that was on the side of the couch is now behind the couch, and so it's an adjustment phase.
Oh wow, yeah, you did change things up. I'd say
yeah.
just from here.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's like a living room. It's kind of fun.
That's weird, huh?
Yeah.
We like it.
We like it.
Okay, so jumping right into the agenda, I have been spending way too much time on the MSN landing page because that is the homepage for my work internet.
Was that Bing?
No, it's I think it has the Bing search, but it's on anyways, there's even like a search bar on that landing page that will take you through the company's internal files and stuff. So I end up looking at that a lot, which is why we had the discussion about cartoons at our last show. And so this time, the interesting article that I found while I was fucking around at work and getting things done. So that way, if my supervisor decides to watch the show, I was working all day.
Apparently our background is distracting.
We have a lot of stuff going on back there.
Yeah, I just got a text from one of our loyal fans who let us know that apparently our background is very distracting.
Is that because they're trying to figure out everything that's on the shelves?
I'm not
Probably.
sure.
Or
I
maybe
get
he's
that.
looking at the giant stuffy dragon.
He's obviously listening and watching, so hopefully he'll respond right here on this text message and we'll know about it.
Hey, based on that standard, mine's probably distracting too. Bunch of shit over there.
Is it all the shelves and shit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of shit.
There's
going
a
on
lot going on back there.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot of shit going on back there. Good luck, Triffin.
There he is. I'm also awaiting the Triffin text. He doesn't know how to Facebook good.
No, no, he doesn't. He's shitty at it.
Yes. And
Sorry,
he's also a couple whiskeys in apparently, so this ought to be amusing.
None of this shocks me.
Right.
Okay, so what I was looking at today is 25 movies that are so perfect, filming remakes would be a crime against humanity, is what the title of the article was. Now, I've looked over all of these, and I think some of them are not so perfect that they can't be remade, but they are definitely movies that will never be remade. So my thought for tonight was we would go through these, see if there's any that you want to take off the list, and then after we're done, you can go ahead and add your 2 films that you think should be on the list.
Let's do it.
So, 1, the original Star Wars trilogy, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
should not be remade, even though they have been re-edited about 20 times.
No, but
I was
they
gonna
remade them,
say.
too. That was 7, 8, 9. They just did the same fucking story over again in 7, 8, 9.
Well, and the biggest question is like, how would you even remake it? Like, it's such a you can't get rid of those characters. They will always be associated. Those actors will be associated with those characters for the rest of pop culture's existence.
Yeah.
So it'd be difficult to do that.
Right.
All right.
Oh, yeah, there is a lot of shit going on back there.
Next one.
She made the screen bigger, so now I can see what you can see all the way to the back wall over here.
Okay, next one. Casablanca.
I'm actually going to say I disagree with that. I fully believe that could be remade. I mean, it's those characters, I guess, are very associated with their actors, but those could be easily replaced at this point.
Yeah, but it's so classic.
Okay,
You know, play it again, Sam.
no,
I mean,
I understand that.
Like a-
He actually never said that.
No, he didn't. But it is still the most common quoted line from that whole freaking film, even though
That
it was
never
never said.
So now they just have to remake it and put that in there.
Well, and then that's what I'm saying. Like, it is what about that movie makes it impossible to be remade? Is it the actors? I guess would that be it?
So, according to the article, iconic lines including "Here's looking at you, kid," electrifying chemistry between Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, and the charm of the old age masterwork cannot be replicated. Doing so will only make it less brilliant.
A lot of it has to do with the you mentioned the chemistry. I don't know if you can ever replace Humphrey Bogart. I think you could absolutely come up with someone to play Bergman's character. Gal Gadot comes to mind, but who plays Bogart's role? I think that's the big tripping point.
Triffin.
John Hamm.
No,
Triffin does it.
Triffin, no.
Henry Cavill.
No, because if you put him and Gal Gadot on the same screen, nobody's going to think Casablanca. They're just going to go back to really crappy DC movies.
Oh, I'm just saying. I'm like, who could replace Humphrey Bogart? I'm just saying, there's people that could do it.
I still don't think that you'll have that same,
Yeah, it's a tough one.
presence. Okay. The Godfather.
Nope.
No.
Okay. Back to the Future.
I said this earlier, so I actually had kind of a time to think about this. We were talking about this earlier. I think we all have to accept that the Back to the Future trilogy happens in a bubble of a completely different universe, a pocket universe, because I lived through 2015 and we didn't have no fucking hover cars. So we just have to accept that universe can never happen again.
Well, and especially for the first one, it was such a movie of its time, which is funny considering it involves time travel. But it was
three
such
of
a
those
movie of
movies-
its
the
time.
period, I guess number 3 was not much of a quote unquote period piece where it gets stuck in the 80s as much. But the first 2 are very, very, very 80s driven.
Yeah. Even the future version of it in 2015 was still very heavily influenced by the 80s.
I was there. That was 8 years ago. Can you believe that? That was 8 years ago. 2015.
Yeah.
Okay. Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver.
God, I wish they would. I don't know who they could get to replace De Niro in that. But, I mean, basically, that's kind of the Joker, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
To a certain extent. I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of did
Yeah,
it. with
it's
Joaquin
definitely
Phoenix.
it's a mental illness piece.
Yeah.
Without being a mental illness piece. God, De Niro is so good in it, though.
And that'd be the hard part.
So good in it. Yeah. Are you looking at me? Are you looking at me?
That
I mean,
movie
it's
made
just
that dude.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure though, if you could find someone that had that same level of energy in that manner, you could probably do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Silence of the Lambs.
They already did
Anthony
that again.
Hopkins.
They tried to redo that. It sucked.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's another one that there was an attempt made.
So apparently no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay. Jaws.
No.
Nope. You'll
No,
you'll
the
never be able to
technology's
recreate.
different.
Well, and here's the thing that there's so much in this movie, and this is one of my all-time favorites, right? The genius of the movie is because of an accident. The reason why it was so damn scary is you almost never saw the shark. And the
Yeah.
reason why you almost never saw the shark is because the fucker didn't work. Bruce
Exactly.
was broken the entire production until the last 15 minutes of the movie when they could finally figure out how to get the goddamn thing going. And the other part of it is you'll never get perfect casting the way they had it between those three lead actors. The last half of the movie we're on the boat. I mean, just the scene in the galley when Shaw is telling the story about the USS Indianapolis. Perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I don't know if anyone could ever duplicate it ever again.
well, they tried to duplicate it. They made what was it, Deep Blue Sea?
That's not a Jaws movie.
I know, but that's the
There could be
It's
shark
along the
movies.
same
that's the
lines, though.
intent. That's the intent.
The biggest problem with remaking a Jaws movie is kind of along the lines of what Matt said. It's why the 1996 version of Psycho didn't work. Is we got more of what made the film so good in the color version of Psycho. Like that, everything was black and white. You didn't ever see the murders, nothing like that. And that's really what the genius of Jaws is, and by accident, of course, but it was cinematography brilliance. Now you don't have to worry about those kind of animatronics because it's all done, well, mostly all done through CGI and things of that nature. There's still a lot of puppeteering, but nothing of giant mechanical nature like that. So the technology in itself changes the way the film would be shot. You can't remake it.
Well, and it was too perfect. I mean, and I say that because it really jump started that creature horror thing. That there was just a huge run after that of that kind of movie, and you can't really go back and can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. We know what the scare is.
Yeah.
The scare is
All right.
waiting for 2 hours.
Next one, Shawshank Redemption. And I agree with that. I really enjoy that movie.
I love that movie. That's
Yeah.
not one that I can ever turn on because you have to be in a very specific mood for it. But if I'm at a hotel and it comes on, I'm watching the whole thing.
It would be very difficult to redo it just because the casting was so seemingly perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was a well before its time, brilliantly assembled ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Agreed.
And Zihuatanejo, I've been there. It's beautiful.
All right. Next one, Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, can't do it.
Was already remade.
Yeah, multiple times.
Was already done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And they've
are
all been
any of
terrible.
them as good as the original?
No.
Oh, The Wiz is awesome. Are you kidding me?
It was
Oh my
good, but
God.
it wasn't the Wizard of Oz.
It's The Wiz. It's The Wiz.
But it's not
There's
the Wizard of Oz.
Dorothy.
It's
There's a
It's
yellow
like saying
brick
the Muppets
road.
Wizard of Oz was awesome. It's the Muppets. It's the Muppets. It's still not a great movie. The original Wizard of Oz was classic because of its transition from black and white to color, right? That was the big thing. The music and everything else kind of came with it. But when you talk about what everyone will talk about in cinematography history would be that transition from black and white to color. The other side of that too is Munchkin Land wouldn't be a thing today. It would be a very different thing.
So, just random sidebar. The live action remake of Snow White they have gotten rid of the seven dwarves because calling people who have dwarfism a dwarf is not politically correct.
Well, who will dig?
So there are no dwarves in the new Snow White movie that is currently being made.
But who will dig? Who
Um,
will diggy hole?
those are different dwarves.
But if there's no, they dig in Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Hi ho,
So make them
motherfuckers.
dwarves, right?
Like, how can you go without hi ho? Who does hi ho?
Oh,
I don't know.
The Hobbit, it was all dwarves all the time. I mean,
Right.
we can pull it off.
Diggy
Yeah.
hole.
All right. It's a Wonderful Life. Now, this is one of my dad's all-time favorite Christmas movies. We watch it every Christmas Eve while wrapping presents.
I'll watch it with him. It's a tough watch for me, but I love the movie. It's just hard to watch, you know.
I think all sitcoms ever have redone that movie in 20 minutes.
Yeah, right. But on a much
Mhm.
different level, right? Like completely satirical.
Mhm.
Um,
I'm not sure I understand.
no,
But the level of desperation that comes across in that movie, yeah, it'd be difficult to replicate, I guess.
he was in that state of mind when they filmed that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't make somebody be completely suicidal and then try to film it again. I guess the closest we would have had in modern day was Bo Burnham's piece that he did right after the lockdown.
That was rough, yeah.
That shit was insane.
Mm-hmm.
All right. These next two could not be remade. Well, especially this next one. Blazing Saddles.
Oh yeah, no. That would be
I
so
could-
impossible. to
Could
redo.
not I could not disagree more. I think remaking this now would be absolutely hysterical and would be actually a pretty good commentary on some of the way our society is, some of the things that our society is moving to, especially in terms of separation.
Okay,
So-
but did you watch any of History of the World Part 2?
No,
It was terrible.
don't have Mel Brooks do it. I mean, the man's 127 years old. Redo Blazing Saddles. We all understand the comedy, and we all understand the bit, and we all understand
Yeah, but
the genius of the
The whole-
movie. He doesn't have to be Mel Brooks that does it.
the whole
Just
the
redo
whole
the movie
point-
with different people.
the whole point of History of the World Part 2 was it was all done by different people. Every sketch had a different group of comedians in it. Mel Brooks was in very little of it.
And wrote very little of it.
So I don't know. I have a tough time with that one coming back just because of the way it was, and at that time, it's just perfectly done. And a lot of the language you just can't use in cinematography anymore. You just can't.
Well,
Oh, sure you can.
you
Did
can,
see
but it
Django?
can't be used in that way anymore.
Did you see Django?
That's what I
Yes,
was
you
about
can.
to say, actually.
Yes, you absolutely
You can use
can.
the language still. Oh, I mean, any Quentin Tarantino film, to be honest, Hateful Eight, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, they all kind of cross that, verbal bridge, at least. They could redo it, but I don't think it'd be as funny, honestly. I think the tongue-in-cheek humor that's connected to that movie because of how he approached the absurdity of the entire piece would be difficult to match.
I mean, the way the sheriff, holds himself at gunpoint.
A lot of it, yeah.
Mhm.
And just even the approach to the language, it was done in that manner to make it absurd.
Right.
It'd be too real now. That's the problem.
And does anybody even know what a toll booth is anymore? We need dimes.
Well, yeah, we still have toll booths. It's just not a dime. It's $4 now.
And it's an automatic thing.
And they didn't have fast passes on horses back then,
Right.
so I think the joke still holds up.
Okay.
Anyway, move
The,
on.
the next is Pulp Fiction, which
Yeah.
Tank already mentioned.
Yeah, and it's in the similar vein of it's so original in its approach to storytelling that it'd be difficult to repeat that exact same thing.
Yeah. One
That
of the,
movie among. Go ahead.
just one of the quotes out of the article is any kind of remake could not match the unbridled intensity and cultural effect of the original.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It was so perfect in terms of timing, and it was so different than anything we'd ever seen. And that was part of the shock. And in today's age of internet chat rooms and, fan theories and fan fiction, there were people, I remember this movie came out, I was working and people were talking at work, which is the only way you could actually have some of these conversations
Oh yeah.
about what the Band-Aid meant. Right.
Oh yeah.
You could not redo this movie because it wouldn't have the same impact.
It would, and that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest thing about this movie. It would not have the cultural impact if you redid it.
Right.
Yeah, shock value is sort of a thing of the past with the advent of the internet.
I blew Marvin's head off.
This next one I disagree with, and that's Singing in the Rain. I think Singing in the Rain could definitely be remade. Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds hated each other. She thought he was a dick and he thought she had no talent.
Well, and they slightly approached it with when they did the Glee rendition with Matthew Morrison.
Yeah, but that was just one song.
Yeah, but I could easily see him stepping into it and doing that whole movie.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely think that this could be remade and done beautifully.
Ask any senior music theater program student, because they will have done that dance at least 400 times.
Oh,
Well,
probably.
plus, it's also a stage show, so
Yeah.
it's constantly being redone.
That's one of the big ones people use in music theater for monologues. Like when you're doing tryouts and stuff, that's a big one that people will do for music theater.
I actually think you picked the right cast. You could make that really well. You could redo that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
very well.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Aliens.
Nope. They've tried.
They tried, and once
They
again, that's one
tried.
of those ones that it was so shocking and so weird for even its time. With the chest bursters and the having a female lead that was that dynamic and that empowered in that way, it'd be hard to replicate that.
Well,
They
and
tried it
that
with
movie-
Avatar, kind of.
That movie had a lot of the same. The first one had a lot of the same, where they didn't show the alien as much, in sequels. and stuff like that.
Because if you saw the Alien as it was constructed in 1977, it was absolutely ridiculous
yeah,
in full light.
Correct,
It looked,
but
it
again,
looked like
monstrosity,
Godzilla.
yeah.
It looked like a rubber suit Godzilla.
Yeah.
but that went into part of why that movie was so genius. Was it
Right.
was the suspense and kind of the build up to seeing it, which made it
Yeah.
so
And-
good. And you
and
saw
visually
in the
dark
sequels that
and-
they just could. There was just all right. Let's overdo it with this and overdo it, and the
Right.
sequels are very good, and but nothing touches the first one.
And the thing about this movie, it was such a departure from a lot of the tone of the first. And each of the Alien movie sequels are different styles of storytelling, which you don't really have in any of these franchises, right? I mean, you have a Transformer movie that is a Transformers movie, and then it's a Transformers movie, and then it's a Transformers movie, right? They're all the same with different stories. Star Wars movies are all the same with different stories. Aliens, each one of them is different. Alien is a horror movie. Aliens is an action flick. Alien 3 is more suspense drama with a little bit of gore mixed in. Alien 4 is just gross out. That's all that is. That movie's just disgusting.
Yeah, horror
With a
porn.
little bit of humor, a little bit of humor sprinkled in, and Ron Perlman just chewing up scenery. But this was the first true departure of a franchise that told its story in a different way, which you can't replicate that unless you took another movie and then whatever that first movie is and had a sequel. Like we'll go back to Jaws. You have Jaws, and then you tell Jaws 2 instead of being a Jaws movie, now it's a action flick,
Yeah,
right?
and
That'd be the only way you could do it, and it wouldn't work in Aliens because that was part of the genius of what Cameron did.
By the
Right.
way, you just described Jaws 2 isn't that basically Sharknado?
Yeah, pretty
They
much.
turned Jaws into an
No,
action
no.
flick.
No, that's the Meg.
No,
The Meg.
the Meg,
Yeah.
yeah, or Deep Blue Sea.
Another
Yeah,
another
Deep Blue
example of
Sea.
that you
You're
can
right.
remake the same movie over and over again in different styles and different storytelling. Any part of the Batman storyline, there's 100 different ways that character
yeah.
is presented. Anyways, carry on.
All right, Spaceballs.
Not a chance.
I mean, they kind of did. Family Guy did it with the Blue Harvest movie.
Yeah,
Blue
but that
Harvest
was
is a
geared more towards
Star Wars movie.
Oh, it was definitely geared towards Spaceballs. Yes, they were doing Star Wars again, but they took so much
Mhm.
inspiration from Spaceballs.
Yeah. But it wasn't a remake of Spaceballs. It was a storytelling of Star Wars in a Spaceballs format. With
Yeah, but you could
Family
tell
Guy
that
characters.
Seth MacFarlane was watching Spaceballs when he wrote that.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Stand by Me, 1986.
Yep,
Yeah, you could redo that.
you absolutely,
could
you could
redo that.
absolutely redo this. movie.
Yeah.
I want
Yes.
him to. It'd be fun. I
100%,
mean, they
yes.
kind of did with Stranger Things
Yeah. Right.
to a little bit. I mean, The
Yeah, I
Goonies.
guess from the standpoint of like kids, right?
yeah, this weird suspense, semi-horror driven movie based around a group of teenage kids. I mean, it's been done.
Yeah, I mean, Stand by Me is a coming of age tale.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a, an imagination driven adventure.
Oh yeah.
For kids figuring out how to go with how to do their thing as they're doing their thing as they're moving along through life, and you've got the the train tracks are a euphemism for life and growing up, and you could absolutely redo this movie. It would not be difficult to do.
Yeah.
Okay, this
That'd be
is
good,
another one I
actually.
think that
Do it.
could be redone, and that's Titanic.
That was actually one of the ones I said too. Titanic 100% could be redone.
Yeah. Easy.
I don't
peasy.
think it should be, but it can be.
It doesn't need to be.
I have never actually watched this movie from start to finish.
It's not worth it, to be honest.
Well, I know how it
I
ends.
was-
Don't do
I
the
was a
joke.
young teenage girl.
The
at
boat
the time.
sinks.
Don't do the joke. Oh, you did the
The
joke.
boat,
You
I did the joke.
I just said don't do the joke.
the boat sinks. I
You
know how it
did the
ends.
Joke.
As
It's
a
a
young
stupid movie.
teenage girl at the time when it came out, I think I saw it in theaters with 3 different groups of girlfriends.
That makes
Um,
sense.
Actually, my first not date, because my boyfriend was part of the group, even though like we had like 2 people sitting between us when we went to see it, because I was only 14 and I wasn't allowed to date. And,
First
and
double
Carrie was
VHS
on that
I
date.
remember.
Right.
Okay, Gone with the Wind.
Oh,
I don't.
It's kind of a period piece.
it is very much a
Yeah.
period piece, and
I
it
don't
would
think
be
you could do it.
very difficult to replicate that without wringing your own opinion into it.
I don't know. Carol
Yeah,
Burnett did that
and-
lovely scene with the curtains.
That's a scene.
Yeah.
The problem with Gone with the Wind is it's such it's so well ingrained into the societal ethos.
Mhm.
Into that antebellum style.
Even if you haven't seen the movie, you know of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you could actually touch. You talk about a movie you really couldn't make today. This is one of them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
This
it'd
is
be
one
rough.
of them, right?
It was
There's some
cinematography at its finest at that time.
right.
And so with the updates and what they do and the technology, you just can't do it. It'd be
Well-
really hard.
And even if they did do it, you can't show it in Florida schools.
Oh shit!
Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
There it is.
Oh my god!
There it is.
How sadly accurate that statement is.
All right. Uncle Buck.
Yes,
Oh,
because you can
yeah,
never
I've seen that.
replace John Candy.
Oh yeah. No, never mind.
That'd be that's the hardest part. How do you replace
That'd be the
John
hardest
Candy?
part. Yeah, he was so
Okay.
good and so perfect for the role.
And that's
The
what I think
only
that
way
this
you could
next
do
one-
it is if you retold this story from the standpoint of your stoner uncle and make it Seth Rogen. That's the only way you could pull this off.
Yeah.
But even then, that's
I-
not a remake. That's just a rehash.
That sounds like a movie that's probably going to happen. What you just
Yeah, that
described.
just sounds like something Seth Rogen's writing.
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like this next one is also really from the cast. You can't recast Forrest Gump.
No.
Well, and it's such
Nope, can't redo this.
it's such a perfectly told story from the way that they tell it. It'd be hard to repeat it.
Everything about that movie is perfect. The way, and it was technology again at the time at its finest. They were able to get Forrest Gump into some of those famous scenes,
Yeah.
and they that at that point that was new technology. Nobody had ever seen that before.
Oh,
Everyone was
seamlessly,
shocked when
right.
he's talking to JFK, and it's just one of those things. And you'd have to keep the exact same soundtrack and score, right? Because the score is iconic, and every song that's in there told a story of one of the scenes that they were covering.
One, it's so
Mm-hmm.
So you can't replace the actor, you can't replace the score. Yeah, you can't redo that movie.
you're making a new movie at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
No.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I mean they're trying, right?
Absolutely not.
They're not really
And be
trying.
as-
They're expanding on a different story.
I was
And I
gonna say,
love it.
and be the same way in the culture we have now. No, it'd be difficult to
No.
do that.
No,
Yeah.
I do like what they are doing with Ratchet. I really enjoyed the first season of that, but it's a completely different story. You know, it's not even really in that universe. It's just
Well,
taking
and how
the character.
and how seriously, to a certain extent, mental illness is taken now. That'd be difficult to get pushed
Right.
through.
Right. And a big part of this movie is its portrayal of mental health care at the time, and mental health care now is completely different.
Yeah,
We hope.
So
yeah.
I've
that'd
been
be
watching a
very
lot of
difficult to
Gotham lately,
replicate.
so like Arkham's kind of a strange place.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Arkham is not the current model being used for all mental health facilities in the country.
No, that's just the
Right.
one that I'm most familiar with currently.
Okay.
Right.
Next one, The Goonies.
Nope.
Actually, I think it could. I put it in the same vein as Stand By Me. It's that coming of age tale, action adventure story that you could replicate with kids.
But here's the thing:
I mean, you
if
can't
were
really
to
have.
if you were to do Stand By Me in today, right? It would be, let's say you're doing it in modern time, right? And you're not trying to make like a period piece or whatever. Whereas Goonies, if you tried to make that in today's world, like everybody just whip out their fucking cell phones. It's so different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
plus-
I
Plus,
just thought
would
about,
you be able to get somebody to do the truffle shuffle?
well, yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Just from free mac and cheese for life or something.
I'm gonna say, fat kids are still made fun of on TV. Yes, you could. That's the biggest thing. Like, it's such it's a coming of age action adventure. I mean, you could replicate that anytime. You may have to play with some of the dialogue, but you could replicate it.
I just had a thought about going back to Stand By Me. We're talking about period pieces, and the kids with the train tracks, they can't use their motor or their little like skateboards and stuff on the train tracks. So like the bikes, and Stand By Me, you update it to skateboards. You ever try to skateboard on train tracks? It's really hard.
Never attempted it.
It's really hard.
Okay.
And I'm going to go on a limb and say you've never tried to do it either.
No,
so
I
I'm not
haven't.
sure you're speaking-
I watch a lot of
speaking from
videos of people falling over, though. I imagine it's
I've seen a lot
Moving
of other
on.
people try it.
All right. This next one is actually an example that Guldagun came up with before he had a chance to be told about the list, and that is the 1980 movie Airplane.
They already tried, and it didn't work.
yeah.
That's I would agree. They tried it, but once again, it's one of those things where you start dabbling in absurdity at such a level that it would feel fake if you tried to replicate it. It wouldn't feel the same.
It was again cinematography's original. Let's put the most serious actors from all these soap operas that we can find and put them in just the most absurd situations possible. And that was the genius of that movie. That had never been done before. So now you're just everything after that is even Airplane 2. You're like, all right, we've seen this before. Move on. But Airplane, I can watch Airplane every night.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I'd watch it again.
I'm not saying I never get sick of that movie. I just don't want to see anybody else do it.
All right.
Exactly.
Goodfellas.
No.
God, I mean, the
That would
way
be
that
tough.
the cast was so perfect
Yeah.
Yeah.
that would be so difficult to even approach it. Especially with Ray Liotta as Henry Hill, that especially when best part of that movie, the end of that movie, with that just level of paranoia that he has when everything's falling down around him. That'd be so hard to do that again. Uh-oh.
You're right back there.
Someone sent him a text message, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Triffin speaks drive.
Oh, God.
Now I really want to hear that.
I do too. Can we call him in?
No.
Yeah, he'll get us booted from Facebook for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
a good call.
And
That's a good
YouTube and Twitch and Twitter.
call.
Yeah.
That's a really
Right.
good
Yeah.
call.
We're
Okay.
across multiple platforms here.
All right. The last
I have very little filter. That guy has less than 0. Sorry.
the last movie on the list from this article was Lawrence of Arabia from 1962.
I think touching that movie just
cares?
because of the cinematography
Yeah.
of it
Yeah. That's like,
would be sacrilegious.
That's like saying you can't redo Cleopatra.
Well, no, the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
reason I have an issue with it is because the
Several times.
Who cares,
cinematography
though?
is so perfect in that movie.
you can recreate cinematography.
They
They
that's what
study
I'm
this
saying,
shit, right?
but it wouldn't be an accomplishment. That movie was an accomplishment because of their approach to the cinematography.
But who cares? Why would you
Yeah, you
want
could
to remake
absolutely-
that movie?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be right. Like, I don't think you should. Honestly, the movie's not amazing, but I'm
No,
saying
that's what
from
I'm saying.
a
We don't need a
technical
remake of something that
perspective.
wasn't that great to begin with.
Okay.
Well, now from a technical perspective, why would you?
This whole list seems like it was written by a boomer who, or even maybe somebody my age, who was like, "You can't redo this movie."
Yeah.
Very probably.
And
Get off my lawn!
I did not look up
Get off-
the age of the
neither did I.
the writer of this article, but
No,
I do want to
neither did
know what movies you think were left off the list.
Oh, movies we think should go in there.
Yeah, at least one movie, preferably two
I've
for
got-
everybody.
I've got two.
You've got to.
Yeah,
I've got two.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Matt.
what do you got?
The first one is A Clockwork Orange.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if you could ever
No.
redo that movie and give it the same grit and feel.
For how?
I mean, it,
I feel like
Politically
it,
incorrect.
blew a lot
you'd
of-
almost have to have Eli Roth direct it and go so over the top.
That's what
Yeah.
it would have to be.
I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel like
but
a
it-
lot
but
of
that
Kubrick's
wouldn't-
work is like that you couldn't recreate it with the same
Right.
effects. You could kind of put,
Right.
2001: A Space Odyssey in that list,
And
Shining
that's
in
my
that
other
list.
one. That's my other
Yeah.
one is 2001: A Space
Right,
Odyssey.
and
I
they
don't think
tried
you
to
could ever
redo The
that
Shining.
movie.
Like Doctor Sleep was good, but that's a completely different story.
Oh God, Doctor
The,
Sleep.
the
was
new
so bad.
Shining was terrible.
Yeah.
But it's hard to kind of mess with Stanley Kubrick's weird, inventive mind.
Mhm. Right. Those are my two.
All right, Tank, what do you
Get
got?
Because I think there was such a time period thing. Basically, anything done by John Hughes in the 80s,
Yeah,
that'd be difficult to do because they fit so much into the time period that they exist in that trying to do that again doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Saving Private Ryan,
Oh
I
yeah.
think fits on that list. You can tell war stories, but that story would be difficult to redo because once again, the way that the story was told was so impressive, and the cast was so perfectly developed for that film. It'd be hard to do it.
All right.
I'm thinking of two movies, both of which I've been thinking about a lot lately. The first one is Star Trek 4, because it in itself is a period piece. You can't retell that same story with the way that modern technology has developed. You'd have to change the story in order for it to work. And with some of the tropes that they use, you can't necessarily, the Russian trying to sneak on a vessel is not nearly as effective now as it was during the Cold War, that kind of stuff. And I get we're still kind of at odds with Russia, but we're not at that level that we were then when that movie was made. And just the technology is a lot different now. And obviously, I don't know who you would cast as some of these guys because they've recast them and some of them died already. That's all Kelvin stuff, though, right? Like they're making another Star Trek Kelvin movie, but that's Kelvin. That's not original series timeline. The other one I can think of, and we just watched this a couple weeks ago, and it's 100% due to the casting. Court Jester. Danny Kaye can't be replaced. You can't have anybody play Danny Kaye's part in that movie. Nobody else can do it. He does everything. You have some people that are linguists. There's just not a guy who is that, technically skilled as a everything, and still be slapstick. I just think there's not that guy that exists anymore. So yeah, that one for sure is on my list.
I would say for me, Schindler's List.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
just from the gravity of that story alone.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't ever need to see that movie again.
And not because of the cast. And for my next movie, it's not because of the casting or anything. It's because once you know the story, you don't need to remake it. And that's The Sixth Sense.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right?
I
You don't
agree.
do that one. Like,
But
spoiler, he's dead.
M. Night Shyamalan made a career out of doing that.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is everything since then is
Is the plot twist,
Yeah.
right? But that was the greatest of all of them. Was
Oh,
his
so
first one.
good,
His
yeah.
first
Yeah.
was
I think you're spot on
that
here.
fucking
Yeah.
movie was so good.
But I don't think you
Right.
could ever redo that.
Absolutely not.
No.
I think you're
with such a perfect plot twist like that at the end. No,
right.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Mark, to your point, I want to circle back to Star Trek 4. Star Trek 4 is the result of Star Treks 2 and 3. So you'd actually have to start at least at 2
Yeah,
and make 2 movies and then do 4. And hopefully people are still watching this shit.
right,
Right.
right.
It's not that it would disrespect or couldn't retell the story or any of that stuff. You got so much other shit you got to do to get there. Like,
true.
But we're saving whales, man.
Gotta save the whales.
right. And they did a little bit of that back to the time period stuff in the last season of Picard, right? So and they actually had some of the callbacks to Star Trek 4 in one of those episodes, but I don't know. Yeah. You got so much other shit you got to do to get there first.
Exactly.
All right. So now that we've gone over all of those movies, let's go over to TV. And the Emmys are coming up in a couple of weeks. And so all Emmy nominations have dropped. So I just kind of want to get a quick, guesses or, we'll call them less than degenerate bets on who you think.
Fucking mosquito?
I don't know, baby.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yes,
you.
that is a very large fucking mosquito. It is
Jesus.
the size of my
No,
left
it's a
boob.
mayfly. It's a mayfly. If it's that big, it's a mayfly.
Okay, it looks like
It's
a
harmless.
giant fucking mosquito.
It's a mayfly.
Okay.
It's
Fucking
harmless.
thing is just smaller than my fist.
Yeah, it's like this big as a fucking mayfly.
Okay, all right.
All right.
It's only going to live for a day. It's dead.
All right. So the first category is outstanding drama series. And the list has a lot of the stuff that
good
we've all
list.
talked about. Andor, Better Call Saul, The Crown, House of the Dragon, The Last of Us, Succession, The White Lotus, and Yellow Jackets.
That's an actually good list, to be
That's
honest.
huge. Yeah.
I think The Last of Us is my personal preference on that list.
House of the
Oof.
Dragon was really good, and I know that's what Pat's gonna say. A lot
God,
of
Better,
Do you?
love
Better
Succession.
Call Saul was cool.
Of the shows on here that I've seen, and I have not watched all of them, it's a toss up for me between Better Call Saul and The Last of Us.
I agree with both of those. I think actually any of the ones we've mentioned deserve it, to be
Mhm.
honest. They did
Yeah.
such a good job with all
Yeah,
of
they're
these
all good.
shows, honestly, were really well done.
Yeah.
Do you have any different choice, my love?
No, The Last of Us was probably my favorite on the list.
Okay. Now, outstanding comedy series, and I think we've actually covered fewer of these. Abbott Elementary, Barry, The Bear, Jury Duty, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Only Murders in the Building, Ted Lasso, and Wednesday. I think Ted Lasso's gonna get it just because it's fucking Ted Lasso, and
It
that's
should
where
get it.
everybody is in the world right now. But I've only seen like 2 of these, and I liked Wednesday best.
Okay, so here's the thing. Don't get me started. Because Ted Lasso, yeah, I get it. It's a great show. It's on
Oh.
a stupid fucking platform.
It is
Get
on
it
a
off
stupid
Apple
platform.
TV. Get it off Apple TV and I'll watch it. Because everyone says it's on Apple TV. Oh, I'll give you my password. Nobody ever gives me their password, so fuck off. And I'm not sharing my Disney with you anymore, Toaster.
I'll give you mine.
No, this is aimed
Yeah,
at Toaster.
I don't know. It's necessarily fair to harshly judge a series just because of
I'm
where it's
harshly
presented.
judging the series fans.
Okay,
That's fair.
the
One
last,
in
That's-
specific that I think you know.
the
I think
last
it's the only
three-
television show that person watches.
I'd say the last 3 on this list are all probably the ones that I liked the most out of it. The Only Murders in the Building, Ted Lasso, and Wednesday were all really fun. And Wednesday's dark humor was pretty great. Ted Lasso, the interactions between Roy and Jamie might be my favorite thing ever on television. Just because they're so obnoxiously dickish to each other that it makes it funny. It's such a weird father and son kind of relationship, but
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah,
engaging.
Roy Kent is my favorite supporting actor in a comedy.
God,
series
he's
in a long
amazing.
time.
Brett Goldstein is so fun.
Yeah, he's so good. I will say that I tried to watch The Bear and I got PTSD from working in kitchens
Yeah,
for so long.
everyone told me to watch
That was-
that. I can't.
Yeah,
watch
I
it.
tried.
2
I was like,
minutes
"Oh,
of it.
this is good," and then everybody's like, "Yes, chef, no chef. Where's my plate?" I'm like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
this brings me
got
back
through
to when I
2
was
minutes of it,
25."
and I had to turn it off for the
Yeah,
same
I'm
reason.
like,
I can't watch shit like
Can't
that.
do it. It's too real.
Yeah.
Too real.
If
I
you've
can't
ever been a
watch shit
sous
like
chef
that.
or a
It
prep
makes
cook,
me start sweating.
Yeah, yeah. If you've ever worked a line in your life in
it
any
sucks.
kitchen, it sucks. And there's a level of art and science and genius and organization and all the things you have to do and keep it all up here in your head. And you know, there's definitely a skill set there.
And the
I lived that
HVAC's
life
not
for
great
far-
in any of those buildings.
No, and I lived that life for far too long. Like this, no,
Too-
This is a part of my life that I enjoyed and now enjoy the fruits of, and I'm done with. I do not want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, it's not
The-
something I want to enjoy on television.
Well, and
Right.
for me, like it perfectly encapsulates what I don't like about it because I didn't go to Perkins for 18 years because I was a prep cook in one for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I fucking hate that this restaurant exists because I worked in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, side note: the movie The Menu is absolutely brilliant, and I'll watch that anytime I can. That movie is awesome. That is
and
must
then
watch for anybody who's worked in a kitchen.
There are obviously a bunch of more categories, but I'm only going to cover one more. And that is because I know that there's a name on this list that Mark hates. and so it's funny to me.
Right.
And that the category is outstanding host for a game show. We have Maya Bialik for Jeopardy, and she has actually been asked to leave Jeopardy because Ken Jennings, who's also on the list, is taking over in entirety on Jeopardy. Steve Harvey from Family Feud,
Love Steve Harvey.
who absolutely love him. Kiki Palmer from Password, and Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune.
Fuck that guy. Anyways, let's carry on. I love Steve Harvey. That's all that matters.
Yeah, Steve Harvey's the best.
Pat Sajak can eat a bag of dicks.
Oh my God. Okay.
Him and his pirate ship can eat an entire bag of dicks.
Yeah. We went to the Flogging Molly concert last week, and there was a guy with a T-shirt that said, "Your entire pirate ship can eat a bag of dicks."
Yeah.
So Mark had to
Thank
take
you,
a
Mom.
picture of said T-shirt, right? And as he's explaining this to Seacals, he goes, "Will you turn your flashlight on so I can get this picture? My family's really into bags of dicks."
I said we have a thing for bags of dicks.
That's worse. That's worse.
Yeah, I
That
know.
phrasing
That's
is
why
much
I
worse.
want my correct
yeah.
quote on there because it's way worse.
And I just stop. Like I can't even. And Seacals is just like, "Yeah, I understand. I know your family."
He's played the game. He gets it.
Okay.
Context is for coward, motherfuckers. Not even explaining the bag of dicks on the air.
Nope.
But my family loves them. Right, Matt?
Moving on.
Okay.
Who doesn't love a good bag of dicks?
Next up is Ahsoka. Premiered this week.
Yesterday.
Yep. I have seen the first half of an episode because while trying to watch it, we had many interruptions. So I have very limited thoughts on it. However, I have done lots and lots of extensive internet research because I was curious as to where on the timeline this fits and what this means, versus the Mandalorian and the Clone Wars, etc. So I was, going down a deep dark rabbit hole of Star Wars. So, what do you guys think?
I am right where you are. I am halfway through the first episode. And the one thing that has struck me so far is this feels like a Star Wars movie told through the lens, at least initially, of an Indiana Jones story. And maybe it was just the first half, and that's kind of the vibe that I got. You take the Indiana Jones part out of it, it feels like a Star Wars movie. The score is brilliant. You don't necessarily have to know, at least to this point, everything that's happened before, although it would be helpful if you went to go watch Rebels. I'm just saying.
Right.
But they're laying it out in a way that if you're just watching it for the first time and you don't know anything about that storyline, it's still making sense. This is going to be really good. I'm really excited to catch the...
Yeah, and they bring you in with brand new characters right away,
Right.
which I love.
And can I also just say that I am truly excited to watch The Last Hurrah of Ray Stevenson. And I'm sad that he never got to do any Star Wars stuff before he left us, because he would have been absolutely brilliant, as he is going to be in this series.
Yeah. Also, there's that one chick with the cool hair, and that's cool. It's like half purple, half orange.
Ahsoka's Padawan.
Yeah. The bitch has like half purple.
No,
half
I hadn't even got to her yet. So
Oh, really?
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
She drives the speeder really fast, and she's got half purple, half orange hair. She's awesome.
Okay, cool. You
I'm
haven't
also
spoiled
a big fan
anything.
of the little Sithling who runs around and mean mugs the shit out of everybody, which is awesome.
Tank.
I watched both of the episodes.
Where did I?
And I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I'd say now that you've said it, Matt, I kind of actually understand what you're coming from, where it does have that Indiana Jones feel set in the Star Wars universe. I get that.
Mhm.
It does. That is a good way of explaining it. It feels
Yeah.
very adventure heavy.
Yeah, lone adventurer.
Mhm.
Got maybe a team sort of on the outside looking in, big bad in the corner that everybody knows about. There's a little bit of archaeology at the beginning, so it's
And it's cool that they're bringing the rebels characters to life in this.
I
in this
love
manner.
that they've been intermixing the cartoon stuff in with
Mhm.
the rest of it
right.
in all these shows.
And the fact that was it Rosario Dawson looks so much like the cartoon character, like the way they're doing the costuming and the makeup and everything. Like,
Plus, she's just awesome.
well, she is.
Yeah.
There was this whole thing being said online about it's girl power, it's women can be heroes, and then somebody else came back with, motherfucker, Star Wars has always had women in power and women as heroes. Who do you think Princess Leia is? Just, oh my god. So I think that it's really interesting to see this new character who we know very little about coming on. So plus, if you watched any of the shorts, what was that called, the Jedi Origins,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
something like that.
That
Mhm.
show
The
was
one-
really good.
The one, it was only like 7 or 8 episodes,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and
all
each
the-
one was a different story.
Yeah, those were good.
Apparently, pieces of that will come into play because there are 2 of them about her.
Yep.
Okay.
It is. Oh my god, he's right.
Hmm.
So apparently, Paws of Fury is actually supposed to be a remake of Blazing Saddles.
Oh, is it really?
What is?
Paws of Fury. It's a
Hmm.
kids movie with Samuel Jackson and Michael Cera,
Oh,
Ricky Gervais, Mel Brooks
Yeah.
is in it, George Takei, Gabriel Iglesias. Our good friend Triffin clued us in on this.
Okay.
But yeah, so they did remake Blazing Saddles, and Mel Brooks was in it. Now I kind of want to watch Paws of Fury.
but the timeline seems to fit like right almost immediately following Book of Boba Fett, based on my
Yeah.
understanding. So we're roughly 5 to 6 years after the Return of the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
and that does seem to kind of fit the story that they're telling. So, kind of taking same time as the Mando story, just in a different part of the galaxy.
Agreed.
Actually, because of Ahsoka's appearance in Mando, I think this fits right after the end of season 2 of Mando.
Yeah,
Right.
roughly.
Yeah, when he goes and gives the little chainmail to Grogu. Okay.
Probably. Yeah, right around there. No, yeah, you're probably right. Right around there.
Mhm.
It's
That was a long-
right before they get back together, probably.
Okay. Moving right along. There is a new trailer for Mortal Kombat. So Tank, I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh yeah, I watched they also released I guess the first 17 minutes of the story, the cinematic aspect of it, and I watched about half of that.
So when we were going over this before we jumped on, I said, "So are they making another movie or another video game?" And my wife just said yes, and then moved on. So will you explain this to me?
Because it's a very cinematic deal. Like they're movie trailers,
Okay.
but it's for a video game.
It is a video game. This is essentially a reboot to the series. Hence, Mortal Kombat 1. It legitimately seems like it is a reboot following what happened in Mortal Kombat 11 and the aftermath in Mortal Kombat 11. And
Okay.
slightly altered the backstories for some of the characters. And they've kind of adjusted the story that they're telling, and it is a very, very heavily cinematic.
Okay, cool.
So I
that
don't know.
sounds cool to me. So it's more of a like a play along, kind of like Halo or Destiny.
Seemingly a
of
little bit in that vein, yeah.
That would be something I'd be into. I like games like that where there's some long cut scenes and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, that trailer is interesting. That first cut trailer, that was the other world. That's kind of cool how they're doing that. And yeah, it's over the top, grotesque violence just as much as always.
Right. And that's the core of the series. You can't have any of that without gore, right?
They're just increasing the storytelling to go along with the over the top violence.
Right.
Which is good. Awesome.
Yeah.
And just a quick one note, because I thought it was hilarious. We've been talking a lot about live action remakes, throughout this year and last year. And there is currently a rumor out that they are working on a live action Tangled. And Zachary Levi has said that he would love to do it. He was the original voice of Flynn Rider, and he'd like to come back as Flynn Rider. Let's see, where was it? So floating around that Florence Pugh potentially might play the role of Rapunzel. Zachary Levi's full name is Zachary Levi Pugh. So you'd have Pew Pew in Tangled. And that's Zachary Levi's direct quote as to why he should get to play Flynn Rider in the live action remake. Because then it would be Pew Pew.
No, he just wants to hang out with Florence Pugh, as do we
yeah.
all. So, I mean,
wouldn't you?
I didn't. I said as would we all. I'm not faulting him. Just come right out and say it, bro.
I just thought that Pew Pew was funny.
I would like to work with one of the hottest women in Hollywood. Thank you. End story.
How do you do Max?
Are they so deep in their vault that they have to remake something that's less than 10 years old?
How do you do Max though? Like how do you do live action Max?
I don't know if they did Mr. Ed.
No, but
that's not the same.
Max is different. Max is so physical comedy.
Oh yeah,
because he's so overwhelmingly dog.
He'd have to be CGI.
Yeah, they did live action King Louie. They can do live action Max.
God, that seems like it'd be difficult to do with how animated Max is, though.
It would be hard to match that energy level that Max has and make it look believable in live action. He's just so cartoonish. I love Max.
That's my favorite part of that movie.
I fall deeper and deeper in love with that stupid horse.
That is the best part of it.
I gave up on horses a long time ago. God damn it. Fucking Artax.
I just saw an hour ago in between dinner and jumping on. I was scrolling through TikTok, and I don't know if you've seen this series of the guy's wife who's watching movies for the first time. And she's reacting to all these classic movies, and they usually do these 3-minute TikToks where she's just spewing out stream of consciousness as she's watching this shit for the first time. They did a 30-second one where she just watched the Artax scene and completely melted the fuck down, and it's hysterical. This 30-year-old woman going, "Fuck this movie!" And she's freaking out.
I literally have that. It gets aggressive when I start talking about it. I will start sweating and shaking and big arms because the fucking horse was so goddamn sad. It couldn't live. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Think of Max, baby.
Fucking horses, man. Why are you so sad? You're a fucking horse. You've got a good life. You're an owner that loves you.
He gets farted on a lot.
The horse is too
All
sad
horses
to live.
Get farted on more than any other animal.
They have a saddle.
I mean, you're probably right.
And a blanket. I mean,
but the saddle's not super breathable.
Yeah, so
it's leather.
It doesn't go like this. It goes like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Smoke get embedded in leather.
Horses get farted on more than any other animal.
You're probably right.
Okay. So
The horse was too sad. to
moving right along, David Tennant. As we saw in the season finale, David Tennant comes out after the
Jody,
thank you,
Dr. Jody.
yeah, and he's all like, "These teeth feel familiar." Well, he has come straight out and said that he is considering this as a 14th Doctor, and it will be completely different than when he played the 10th Doctor.
How
So-
weird.
So we're
Right.
getting Tennant back, but it's not going to be Tennant in the way that we knew him.
I'll bet he's going to be angry. I'll bet he's going to be pissed.
I mean, he gets kind of hostile towards the end of his run.
No, but I think he's just going to come back and just be an angry, like, why the fuck am I here again?
So
But I know one thing for sure. You know what he's going to say when he gets off the stage and leads way for the new guy?
Hmm.
I don't want to go.
No, he'll say something like, "It's time for me to go."
No, he'll just say, I don't want to go. I think he likes leaving with that line. And we learned that because he said it in the 50th. He likes the line, so he'll say it again.
Write it down.
all right. Quoting David Tennant directly, the Doctor's been 3 different people in the meantime, so I'm not necessarily the same version of the Doctor that I was before. I'm not the 10th Doctor now, I'm the 14th. Well, strictly speaking, we don't know what the actual number is anymore, do we?
No, we don't.
I mean, I guess.
Russell T. Davies has got to fix that.
I think so. Yeah.
it's a
I
big
think there's gonna
problem.
be some retcon and a going in this
Yeah.
next series.
Yeah, he also says Russell T. Davies is back running the show, and it felt like we've never been away.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he approaches it very angrily.
I'm
at the
kind of thinking he
beginning.
does. It's like, why am I back again?
Yeah. Maybe he's Barty Crouch this time, and he's an evil warlord wizard.
Yeah, and there's a precedent for, I mean, not just timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly old doctors coming back,
Right.
you know, and all you have to do is look at the Day of the Doctor,
Yeah.
when
The
Tom
4
Baker
doctors
shows
way
up.
back in the day.
Yeah, the 5 Doctors in 1983.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even more recent in 2013, the Day of the Doctor,
Day of
when
the Doctor, yeah.
Tom Baker shows up
Right.
and is really cryptic about revisiting old faces. Whose phone is going batshit crazy?
That's got to be Frank. None of our phones are near our computer.
Mine's not really either. I can
Mine's
move
over
it even
here.
farther away. Mm,
Good Lord.
It's
Oh,
still
look,
happening?
look, it's better now.
Okay.
Well, and,
I guess
and
it was
that
mine. Mine's
Day of the
pretty
Doctor
far away,
episode
though.
Was right before Tom Baker shows up on
That's
screen.
weird.
Is
Mhm.
when David Tennant leaves in his TARDIS and says, "I don't want to go," and he says it differently than he does
Hmm.
when he
Could be.
dies, which
Could
is
be.
why I'm saying that they're going to keep that line for him.
So, and he's really cryptic about revisiting old faces. So that
Because this
actually could actually be the Doctor in a museum meeting with the Doctor. So there's precedent for reusing, not just revisiting, right? So I'm really excited to
reusing,
see what
and
they
then
do.
you know they established that he can reuse faces too when they brought Capaldi on,
Right.
because he has that whole inner crisis with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, why am I using this face? What am I trying to tell myself?
Right.
And the
No.
fact that they bring Donna back, I'm assuming, is going to play a role in his closure too.
That's a hard sell for me. I don't know how they do that.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, bro. It's the only way they can do it.
Like, I'm happy about it. I love Donna, and I don't think she got enough time. But it's weird. It'll be weird. I want to see how it's explained.
Yeah.
But I have more faith now because,
It's not.
somebody who writes solid shit is back.
Right.
I was like, not shithead rewriting Doctor's entire history to fit his weird little fucking paradigm.
Mhm.
Fuck that guy. Sorry.
Tell us how you really feel.
And if you have any doubts as to how Tank feels, you guys can find us this weekend at Colorado Springs Comic Con. That is August 26th and 27th. The following weekend, September 3rd and 4th at Nandasukan or NDK. And then Wednesday, September 6th, we will be at the Adultiverse Drag Universe at Convergence Station at Denver Meow Wolf. So that's what's happening for us in the next couple of weeks. Does anybody have any final parting shots before we go?
Parting shots or thoughts?
Yes.
Gods.
Pick one.
Gods.
I don't really have any. The Indiana Jones movie, the new one, is actually not terrible. It's fucking weird, but it's not terrible.
I've heard a whole bunch of not very good things about it.
I think a lot of people are focusing on the ending, and if that is your primary bone of contention, I get it.
Okay.
But the story itself is not bad.
All right, you've heard it here, folks. Indiana Jones, not terrible.
And it can't be any worse than the last one.
That
Speaking
ending, though.
speaking of sequels, I did catch the newest Transformers. It's out on Amazon Prime. Good movie, really well done. Good way to come back from the last crap fest that we had.
I was going to say the last two at least.
Right. Yeah, Rise of the
haven't
Beast.
seen it yet.
Rise of the Beast is very good. Good
I
watch
have not
for sure.
seen it yet, but I know that Dipshit thinks it's like the greatest thing since.
It is good,
Like-
and it's even made better by the mid credit scene is okay. I mean, it's good, but the last 10 seconds of that movie blow your mind.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Also, Strange New Worlds ended, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Mhm.
So fucking fun. Watch the end of that, please.
I can't wait to
if you
burn
haven't
through
seen it
that
yet.
series. I can't. I'm just gonna burn straight through it.
The entire season is excellent.
It's so
um,
good.
Well, and we've talked about it a bit on the show. You missed it last show. We talked about the musical episode. Which actually brings me to my final thought of the night, which wasn't originally my final thought, but it is my final thought now. We were talking about the musical episode of Strange New Worlds, and they used the Once More with Feeling Buffy episode as kind of like, this is the level we want to be at, because they did such a good job on that musical episode. Well, then talking to one of my friends at the office, we were talking about how, those two things are connected. And then, Principal Snyder in Buffy is Quark in DS9. And so then Mark and I have been talking about the 3 degrees of separation. So screw 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's now 3. If you cannot connect an actor to Star Trek within 3 degrees, are they really worth knowing?
I think you might actually be accurate on that. There's so many people that have been in that universe at this point. It would be difficult not to.
Right. There's just
Right.
linchpins, right? All it takes is
This
Christopher
is what I'm
Lloyd.
saying.
Mick Fleetwood was a giant frozen fish. All
Yes.
things are possible.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
All right, so that is my final thought for this episode.
Free call meanie. Let's have an O'Brien show.
Let's not just say we did.
Come on, it could be fun. He gets divorced from Keiko,
I'm all in for that.
Oh my
and it's
god.
him and Bashir just like trolling the universe. And like all they do is just go to different fucking like Ryza type planets and then like use the holosuites to fucking play chess and
Darts.
not darts. What do they do? They reenact old battles and shit
Yeah, but
on Ryza,
they play darts.
and it's slightly homoerotic.
So all you really want is them to backdoor a pilot into a spinoff. That's what you want.
How do we get from
exactly
homoerotic to backdoor? That's my big question.
I mean,
The phrasing on this show today has been less than spectacular.
And you can bring Garrick back. Oh, Garrick, O'Brien, and Bashir.
just trolling the universe in their own little thing, huh?
It's an
Yeah, give them the
intergalactic.
Millennium Falcon.
It's an intergalactic triumvirate of pain.
You're gonna do a crossover universe with those three?
Oh Jesus Christ!
Just them though.
Yeah.
Triffin also says finally that you cannot remake The Last Dragon, and I actually agree.
Which one?
The Last Dragon.
Hmm.
Show enough.
Oh, and apparently he's so dumb. He said you can't remake the live action Lion King.
Well, I mean, they can, but you shouldn't.
They remade that one before they made it.
Well, fucking Lion King was a remake. Christ.
That's what I'm saying.
True.
And it's a stage show. There's people acting it out every day. Okay. All right.
The whole
Well,
thing is Hamlet.
Yeah, it's just Hamlet.
thank
Right,
you,
I'll do that next
Trippin,
time.
for all of your fabulous input this evening.
Yeah, please thank
Um,
you for
we
keeping
would
my brain on
all-
track.
We would all like to hear you speak jive, and think that most of your inputs, while amusing, are not relevant, but we love you anyway.
And we would not have you on live unless there is at least a minute and a half delay.
Jesus.
None of this 5-second bullshit.
Oh no. No.
I know how that man rants.
Oh.
Once you get him going, he doesn't stop.
Oh, couple beers in, and it is. I spent 2 hours with him last week. It was brilliant.
I love that guy.
Oh my god.
So, on that note, come and see us at our upcoming events happening around Colorado. We will be back in 2 weeks. We'll probably have a little bit dropped this weekend while we're at Colorado Springs Comic Con. Next week, same time, same channel, you'll get to see the lovely show of My Brother is an Idiot, featuring these three yahoos and occasionally a couple others that they can rope in, including our lovely dipshit MJ.
I will give you a quick sneak into next week's episode. It is going to be the Big Predict Part 2.
Dun, dun,
It's
dun.
gonna be. I think that's gonna be a pretty heavy football episode.
I
Pretty
would
heavy
assume so.
professional football.
It's gonna be our lead.
Very NFL heavy.
Yes.
Very
Yeah,
NFL heavy.
We actually have our fantasy football draft happening this weekend for the Family League.
Oh yeah, I gotta set that.
You gotta figure that out. Yeah.
So that should be interesting. It is 4 couples from our family all playing against each other. So, all right. King Goon, drop our socials.
Make sure you check us out on all of our social feeds. You can find the Nerds That Know everywhere. You can find anything socially. The My Brother's an Idiot podcast can be found on Facebook at My Brother's an Idiot. You can also find Mark on Twitter at Puffletime. You can find me at Twitter and Twitch at Puffalopagus. And you can find me on TikTok at King Goon Smoke.
All right. We will see you guys next time, and hopefully while we're out and about over the next couple of weeks. Bye, all.
Bruh.
Bye. Gene Mingo. Cole Meany.
Bruh.
I'm the
Cleveland
king. of
Slider.